Part of using Google Docs and using Google Drive actually is that you can be so much more efficient with it. And I'm going to show you a couple of my favorite pieces about using Google Drive. So right now I am actually signed in to two different accounts. I want to show you here. Let me switch over to my other account. And if I go into my Drive, and I'm just going to show you this as an example very quickly. I am going to turn off my internet connection. Okay, so now it tells me down here at the bottom I'm offline. Some functionality may be unavailable. So maybe it is, but here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go into my beginning of year items. I'm going to go to that parent surveys. I made this earlier. This is a letter. If I double click on it, it's going to load. And it gives me this little lightning bolt icon, and that is telling me that I'm offline. But I made a mistake earlier. Dear parent, I am happy to have your child in my class this year. We will be learning using the Common Core state standards and so on and so forth. Okay, so I am, like I said, not online, and I've done this here. So what I'm going to do is just go back online. Whenever it searches, it's now that was replaced. So now it's telling me that I've got all of the same choices that I could have had before, and this has been resynced. So what I did was I worked whenever I was not connected to the internet. That is a huge gain, I think, with using Google Drive, because there are so many times that things happen, like let's say my network goes down. For me, the biggest thing is whenever I'm traveling from place to place, riding along in a car, I can still work even though I don't have the internet active. So here's how I set that up. You do have to set it up. So I'm going to go into my other account that does not have it yet, and I am going to navigate to drive.google.com. And I go over here to where these settings are, and right here it says settings. I am going to tell it that I want to sync this so that I can work offline. And then I'm just going to hit done. Okay, so now it should start working to allow that. And it usually takes just a little bit of time to get that going. Okay, so now I have downloaded that, or excuse me, I have activated that I can work offline, and sometimes you'll see that it's starting to kind of spin a little wheel over here in this area, so that way you know that it's working. If you've got a lot of files, it might take it a little while to do that. So let's test it out. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn off my internet access up there, and I'm going to double click on this. And it's going to come up, and then there you go. There is my little icon that tells me I'm working offline, and so that anything I do is not going to be saved until I turn my online services back on, just like this. Now a little bit of troubleshooting for you. A couple of times that I've run into an issue with this, using a school managed account, sometimes it just doesn't want to work in Google Drive whenever you open it, whenever that you do not have an internet connection. So what I had to do was go to docs.google.com and then open it from here without having my internet turned on. Then it worked. So keep in mind also that, let's say that you're getting ready to get on a plane or something like that, and you know you're not going to have internet access. Pull all of this up before you get out of a place where you do not have internet again, so that way it's ready to go. Because if you just power up your computer without having access to the internet and think that you can work offline, it won't work like that on a normal desktop. So you want to make sure that you take that step ahead of time. The other option I have that can help me to stay organized is that I can download my drive. So if I go here to where it says download drive, and it's telling me I can get drive everywhere, and it allows me free storage that is on my computer. So this is not going to be online, it's not going to be in the cloud, and I'm just going to choose download Mac and PC because I'm on my desktop right now. I agree. And then here it is. Whenever I have this on my computer, then I can just add items into my drive the same way that I would my documents. And whenever I come online, whenever I go to a place where my computer recognizes that my internet is active and it can connect, it will just sync my drive that's on my computer to my drive that's in the cloud. So we'll demo that very quickly. Now, whenever this is done downloading, I can go find it in my downloads, or I can just double click on it here, and it will run the setup process. And it's telling me to move this to my applications. Now I'm using a Mac, so that's the way that you install anything on a Mac. If you are using a Windows machine, it's going to look a little bit different. It's going to ask you if you want to run or save program and so on. So you'll want to follow the same download instructions that you normally do. Here's the way it works on a Mac. And now it's copying it to applications. Alright, so let's double click on it and open it. And now it's going to walk me through getting started with it. Okay, so it tells me that I can sign in with a different account, or I can use this one. I am going to choose a different account. And it's saying, where do you want to put your files? Okay, so it's going to create a separate folder for me, and I'll just tell it next. And all of this really is just ways that I can keep things organized. It's telling me what I can do with items whenever they are in my drive, so I can share or I can view it online. I'm going to tell it next. And then again, it gives me this little icon right up here, so I can access it up there if I want to. Now I'm going to hit done. Okay. Okay, so now you can see here I've got a new folder that's called Google Drive right there. There's nothing in it right now. Now if I decide that I want to visit Google Drive on the web, see what it's doing. It's syncing all of my files, and I've got a lot in there. Now all of the files that I have online are populating right here in my Google Drive. And we are only about, we're getting there now, we're about a fourth of the way through, maybe not quite a fourth, but it's going. Okay, so that will give me a backup of my items, and let's just go into this right here. Okay, so I have lots of different things right here. Let's say if I'm going to double click and open that, it is going to open the very item that I have there. Okay, so once I have this installed, it will reside right up there. And my sync is complete now. You can see that some of my documents here, these are the most recently accessed by me in my Google Drive, and then I have access to the folder that is on my computer, or I could visit Google Drive on the web. So it would look like this if I close that. Let me go back in here and say I want to visit Google Drive on the web. It's just going to open my drive for me just like that. Okay, so to be clear, downloading Drive to my desktop, my computer, is something that I can do in Chrome. And then also keep in mind that this does not provide me with on or offline access, so I cannot edit things offline, but it can be a shortcut to my drive if I'm using it a lot, and I'm just knowing that I can click on that, choose to visit Google Drive on the web, or I can store things on that folder that now also resides on my computer, and it will provide syncing between the two as well. Depends on what my needs are, and you can choose to use one or both depending on what it is that you need to do.